all right. Time to get down to work. I have so many things to get going. Lots of different bits, plenty of time, but also plenty of fatigue. It's going to be a lot of lead belcher, a lot of Warlock Bronze, and a lot of Agrax Earthshade going on this evening. Probably a decent amount of grime. But I am zeroing in on getting this model all done. I got a lot of work on these two weapons. I'm going to call myself done when these two guys are good to go. I'll do the harpoon and the other thing maybe another time. But these are all just straight up metallic, so I've got to get some color work in. I've got to get something going, which I think is actually going to be this acid rain stuff. Color shift acid rain. Acrylic lacquer. I'm going to give that a try on here. See if that works. If it doesn't, I'll regret it. But it has a really interesting sheen to it. And then just tons and tons of little details that I still have to catch up on. This model is huge. It's huge with a lot of mechanical parts. And I'd like to make some progress on it. I don't think I'll finish it this weekend per se, but who knows? The main thing is I've just got to like grab a part, find a few things, and hit it up, and then move forward. All right, let's get started. I will start with this guy. I also still have a magnet or two to put on. Some weaponry to do. Yeah, I'll start with this guy. All right, we are going with, let's see if this stuff is still wet. It is. I'm going to lead belcher these straps, that circle around there. So I get a little bit of contrast between thin your paints, buddy, thin your paints. Some contrast between that and the lead belcher and the Warlock Bronze. We're just going to paint and paint and paint. My back's killing me. I did chores a bunch of the day. I painted part of the day. I cleaned this office up a lot. Made it a lot more conducive to this growing habit of mine, painting models. My space is set up a lot better. It's a lot better organized. I've got a shelf with bins. I have a relatively minimal stack of shame in terms of gray things. I've been pretty good about it. I do have a miasmic malignifier. That may be next. I gotta find a way for it to fit in my army points wise on principle. But I'll worry about that. You don't gotta worry about a thing. It'll find its way in there. I'm just going to paint like the wind, like the careful wind. Hopefully my hands don't shake too much. I gotta have a little bit of caffeine going to keep this party on track, but hopefully not too much. I do get the shakes. It's pretty funny. I've cut down on my caffeine a lot by switching to tea, but there was times early on and I would absolutely just like my hands would rattle. It also takes me a little while to just like settle in, get comfortable. I should probably do a bit of a hunchback, like no joke. I have scoliosis, I have my whole life. So that certainly makes things a little spicy. But don't QQ, it's all good. Alrighty. I don't think my posture's ever going to be good while I do this, but I do have to think about it. It affects my ability to sort of keep going. We are moving. I'm just going to do a lot of different things tonight. Just stick with it as long as I can. And I'll wake up sore tomorrow, but I'll feel really good about the progress. Welcome aboard. All right. get this detail on this side. And I'll set this guy aside so that it has time to dry a bit as I work on other parts. Basically what I'm going to do is try to cycle through colors and metallics and then go back to washes. And things should have enough time in between to dry enough. In the meantime, did I hit that guy right on that other side? I might have overdone it a little bit, but it's cool. Alrighty. Painting, painting, painting my Death Guard Knight Tyrant. Look at this guy. He's coming together. He's coming together just fine. Just need to stay on target. Alrighty. That's good. I get the ring around this. The bigger magnets absolutely made a huge difference. Everything sticks on nice and tight now. Stuff on top is a little looser, but that's only because it's got it magnetized through resin. And it's a little bit more of a magnetic challenge, but not a crazy one. Not too crazy. Should buy stock in lead belcher. Do use a lot of it. So these rings, some of the hardware around there, those vents, they'll all get it. They will all get it. I should probably get some of that grimy green stuff. Circles haven't those. I'm going to do a circle around this thing. Basically just the seal. Yep, I do have the shakes. I do have the shakes. Shaking and baking. There we go, nice and gentle. It was a very productive day. I feel much better about painting now that this office space is in good order. I think one of the only shorts I ever posted. I kind of detest shorts a little bit, but I did post a couple. One of them was just like me out by a lake, putting models together while I was on vacation. Oh, I kind of glopped that. Q-tip time. But the other one was just stop motion of me cleaning my office. It does matter. Makes a big difference. Clean space is a happy space, I think somebody commented, and they are absolutely right. Absolutely right. The sound of that model scratching on the table isn't the most annoying thing ever. Alright, that's good. I'll hit these guys in back. Stuff, this whole panel, I'll just hit it. When it gets grimed up like that is, it'll look like it's seen a bunch of use. Probably gonna pour out some of that grime so I could just get these done gently. I need to hit this thing up, this death's head, and also these rings around here. I guess those are lights, so at some point I may want to hit those with like red or something. Or they're targeting doohickeys. Auspex of some sort. General purpose auspex. About halfway through the fulcrum Horus Heresy book right now, and I'm absolutely digging it. I totally thought I was not going to care about Fulgrim at all because of the memes, and man, I am enjoying that book a lot. It is quite good. It really goes into a lot of parts of Warhammer lore that I mean, there's tons of places in Warhammer lore that I'm totally unfamiliar with. But, as you know, between Fulgrim, Ferrus Manus, I was always like, yeah, I don't really care that much. No biggie. And now that I'm digging into them, I'm finding the authors of these books just do a great job all the way around. To have them get you to care about characters that, like, at face value, you're kind of like, eh. Just every character is kind of an archetype. Like, the real stretches, I can't imagine caring about Angron, but I'm willing to be disproven, I guess. I just don't like the guy's name. I think he's awesome, but, like, the name Angron is, like, a little too much. It's up there with Mortarion. Sorry, Mortarion. But your name's a little weird. Alright, clean this guy. Grab some of my grimy stuff. I use my specific green brushes for all my terrible stuff. Anything that's a lacquer or like a absolute super grind type thing. This guy gets his own bowl. Gotta hit that death's head first. This is the kind of business we are in today. Alright, pick him up gently. Squeeze there. Do this one in Lead Belcher. I think it'll pop a little bit more. Well, maybe the inside of it. The inside of it I'll do with bronze. What a model. What an absolute marathon model this is. Every step you do, 8 more steps right after it. I love it. It's like such an investment, not only monetary, but time-wise. Like, it's quite an experience painting this whole guy. A lot of fundamentals at work. Learning a ton. Certainly like it. This channel's come a long way very, very fast. I got this model because I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing something big. And I wanted it to be around 1,000 subs. I think it was. It's like 800 or 1,000 now. And I didn't hold off. I mean, I cracked the thing open pretty fast. I think I'm at like 3,000 today. It's not like a boast. It's just stuff happened faster than I thought it would. It's chilled out though. I'm not growing exponentially, thank God. That would make me nervous. Alright. Hit this guy with some warp block bronze. Get that whole skull going. Get a little water on there, thin this out. You're feeling a little bit thick there, buddy. I made $3.76. I think Thursday. I think it was Thursday. It's my first reported day of monetization. $3.50 of that was from me. I gave myself a super chat because I was curious how it actually worked. 26 cents. Residual riches. Which I am psyched about. Just for posting my progress, doing fun model stuff. What a life, huh? What a life. I feel bad because I waste so much of this stuff every time I pour it. But it be what it be. I need a little squeezer doodle. I have those. I should use them. I should use them. Alright. AK Slimy Grime Dark. I should invest in Slimy Grime Light. Yeah, this just takes it right into Death Guard territory. Lay that on nice and thick. Get grimy. Get into all the bits. It soaks in very strangely to all the nooks and crannies. Bizarre, not exactly paint. Weird stuff. It does flick around a little bit though. I gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. What time did I actually start this business? It was probably 8-ish. Yeah, it was 8 o'clock. Let's just think about how much quality work we can get in. Putting that work in. A fun model. Such a nice guy. I should name this thing. I should let someone watching name it. Happy green stuff. Happy, happy green stuff. Go over this. Slime you up. It's getting slimy. Get all those little spots. All those little spots. It's interesting because if you do lay it on pretty darn thick, it behaves very differently than a paint. It's like a soupy sort of wash, but dangerous because it doesn't wipe off all that easy. All right, this I can set aside for now. That needs desperate time to dry. I'm gonna get around these legs a little bit with more of this grime. So I want the legs to sort of match up in color a bit. I've already got a little bit of grime on them, but these guys are gonna get a wash also. So I want this stuff to be in there and working, making its paycheck before I get to that point that it's wash time. And yeah. Just laying in the grime. Grime time. Prime time, grime time. Yeah, nice and thick. Just like we like it. I'm absolutely in that phase of like, I don't feel desperate. So I'm making mad progress. But every time I turn the model around, I find something that I haven't quite gotten to. And it's not frustrating. I actually like that a lot about these models. But this one is just so covered in machinery and stuff that it's kind of a curse. You can actually just splotch it on a bit. All right, this, that, other, there's a spot. It's all about angles. All angles all the time. There we go. Get all that in there. So those footies are gonna now be pretty dark. Still got a couple little spots to hit over here, just a little bit more. And I'm very intentionally not laying this on like a flat coat. If you splotch it, you get a little bit of texture to it. It's not quite camo because it's all the same color. There, I'm definitely going to splotch it on because I got a little Warlock bronze in the wrong spot. Okay. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? I feel pretty good about it. While I've got the green stuff out, not green stuff, but the green stuff, I'm going to hit insides of these a little. I'm not going to hit the sidebars, just going to hit the pistony looking things. This is mostly covered, but I don't want it to look super light as I do. It'll be shaded. I want sort of consistent griminess under there. There we go. Looking good. The back is on fire. I did chomp some Advil before this, though, so it should be good. All right. Looking slimy. Just like we like it. I don't have any of that on my thumb. Just griming away. Dabbing it in wherever it looks cool. You always kind of stir it a little bit in the bowl. Special glop bowl. I should get underneath there near the magnet. Get the side of the magnet too. Why not? Get in there. It all counts. Get underneath, backside of it. Scooch that out. Yep, get underneath there. It's all about devil being in the details. This bad boy is laden with details, laden with gifts. All right, that looks pretty solid. I use a slightly lighter color on the sort of helmet piece. Pop some little red on the oculars and stuff like that. So that's in pretty good shape. This guy did get some black wash on him. I need to decide whether or not I want some color on the back or I want it to look all just metallic. I'm going to stick with metallic for now. Grab my cannons. These guys need green slop. Everybody does. Everybody gets the juice. Alright, so I got the top of that. I got this, I got that with green. These guns are green, so they just need to move on to metallics. That's great news. So let's wash as much of this grimy stuff out of here, because it does add up. That brush is going to be demolished eventually. All right. I do need some more lead belcher on my palette. How'd the Q-tip go? Just spin some of that out on there. The palette is really wet. It's thoroughly wet. It was just a dab of water near to the splooch that I put on there, but not in it. And then I can go back and forth with the brush as needed. Get more water on it when I want it. More sort of pigmenty stuff when I want that. All right, yep, this whole back plate. You are lead belcher. Even the back side. Not so perfectly, mind you, but good enough for government work. Just thinking about how much time I saved from that tip to dry brush a bunch of this with lead belcher. It was like a game changer, an epiphany. An epiphany was had on a stream of all places. It was dope. Of course, now with this detail stuff, I'm like, should I do it again? But I'm not gonna. These absolute outward spots, I want to hit with an actual coat of it for reasons. I do have something on that carapace I still need to. Lead belcher, that's right. The vents. Can't forget the vents. So just work the stuff in there, little by little. Yeah. Just hanging and painting. Putting that work in. Backside. That. It's a little bit thin. Get some more pigment on there. Pigment and shiny bits. We want to get in between there because that part counts. Not going to be a ton of people that see through there, but with metallics, they also just kind of affect the area around them, how your eye treats them, so it's kind of good to be super thorough. But this one I already got, so that's good. I did something well. I'm going to hit these two circles. Excuse me. Sorry, microphone. I'm going to hit this ring like I did up here, so they sort of match. Just go around that gently. It's got a sort of bossed edge to it. Just get the whole thing, get around those bolts very carefully. But you are coming together right before my very eyes. Continue all the way around. Round like a circle, as one of my kids would say. Everybody loves circles in this household. Circle addicts. All right. Thoughts. Do that part. We'll do the Shieldy McGee thing and lead belcher. That could be cool. Skull on this shield. Doomsday skull. It is funny, these videos, like these streams after I post them. It's like a complete mix of people who watch for 30 seconds and are completely bored and annoyed with my voice, and then people who watch like the whole thing, which I find a little crazy. But thanks for doing that. Makes me feel good. People watch my crap. Makes me feel great, actually. Very validating. I don't really need much validation, but some. Not too shabby. I just hope that some people that are like, maybe I'll do this, maybe I won't, managed to find this channel, which I would have loved when I was getting started. Just people who are interested in learning and growing at their own pace. I gotta tell you, I'm definitely the master of my own domain as far as slow-paced learning. So much to get used to. That's actually wet, so I gotta be carefuler. Try to speak English. I gotta be more careful on this one because there's not as many places I can grab the piece from. I could have used that weird clippy thing. I bought it. Still a little bit feral. Still a little bit feral. Might actually be cool to leave that circle just this sort of gloppy green. Did I glop it? I didn't glop it. That's why it looks that way. If you're gonna do it, do it. I just noticed there's an extra piece of that shield that I didn't get on this side. All the details. All the little details. I feel like I need a spotter, a chaperone, a painting chaperone to be like, don't move forward. Take your time. You missed the spot, buddy. There we go. Just step by step. Clear that eyeball out a little bit. Don't want too much paint in there. It'll seep in, but I really try not to get too much paint in those little detail bits. Relatively safe. That edge a little bit. Go crazy. Don't need to be completionist here. All right, I'll hit it with some glop, some green glop, gently, and then we can set this guy aside a little bit too. I do need to hit the barrels on this, but I don't know where I would possibly hang on to this from to do that. So I'll just hit it with this slimy green stuff. There you go. Get in there nice and thick. This is not paint. It is super thin. Scoots around like a wash. And then soaks in and takes all this particulate garbage with it. Scared that one away fast. Like, oh my god, the model's all green. It's all green. Hey Bronco. How's it going? Yeehaw. I am trying to make some solid headway on this thing this evening. How's your day been? More paint, more problems. I have a set of rockets that only got prime on them. Yeah. Sip some tea. Get hyped. Dustin Animal Hair, story of my life. It's a pretty boring life I have, but Dustin Animal Hair for reals. Um, yeah, I have two cats, and they love this office. One of them super tiny, has not jumped up here on this shelf yet. Amen. Part of the reason I did a bunch of reorg in this office was to not cat proof it because that's not possible, but I have a shelf. Let's see if I can show you my dirty office. Boop. Shelf with bins. That's right. I'm now committed enough to this Warhammer business where I need shelves with bins almost strictly for Warhammer stuff. That and my dumb video rig stuff too. But yeah, this room is also where I do my job. So it spent a lot of time in this room. It gets dusty. Cats come in here. They just get hair all over the place. This is Death World Forest. It's a neat color green. It's not quite Death Guard. It's got like a, if you have children, it's like baby poop colored. It's got just enough green, just enough brown, which is good for Death Guard. I did, yeah. Yeah, so my older cat is about 10, Hank. She's totally chill. And she doesn't jump up on this stuff. She's past that age. She was frisky when she was little, but we just got a kitten, and kitten's giving her a run for her money, giving her some exercise. My older cat passed away very recently, a few months ago, so we needed to get Hank a new buddy. And when she's in here, it's been absolutely fine. When Krobus, who's named after a Stardew Valley character, um, when he gets in here, it's he needs chaperoning. If they're both in here, it's actually almost okay because they'll just wrestle on the ground, beat the daylights out of each other in the good way. Yeah, it is what it is. Actually, his ashes are in a box right over there. He was 19, so like it's all good. I mean, it's not good that he died, but like he had a long stretch. I got him when I first moved to the Boston area for my first game design gig. Actually, I was in QA when I started. So that cat's been with me for like the journey and then some. But yeah, 19 years old. Um, and he just kept keeping on. I mean, he was ancient. He was like an old Methuselah. And don't get me wrong, I was horribly sad. Yeah, I was terribly sad when he passed. But he had long served as a loyal companion far longer than I could have ever hoped for. He gave me a lot more than I gave him. I gave him food. I gave him good hugs, but he was a really good kitty. Old geezer. All my cats have been pretty rad, though. I'm a reasonably good cat parent. I have a lot of experience with that. I only have minor experience with human parenting at this point, which is a little bit more challenging, but a heck of a lot of fun. I teach my 2-year-old rap songs. She knows a little Wu Tang. But yeah, that old kitty, man. You rocked out. Good dude. Alright, so they've got these poop missiles. Baby poop missiles. Not really sure about this color. I'll add some more detail to it later. I know I'm going to drop some wash on this, which will drab them up. Yeah, it's they're pretty amazing. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, cats are so standoffish." It's like, well, some of them are, but some aren't. Like Hank, my now older cat. I think she's 10, the most. Um, like she just absolutely like pattern bonded as a kitten. Would like sleep next to my head at night on the pillow. Very attached. And then as she got older and got much bigger, she didn't realize how much bigger she was getting. She's climb up my leg. I was wearing jeans. And then after about a year, I was like, "You're too big, kiddo." Tearing me apart. She's funny. She's really funny with the new kitten too. She's just like, "Oh my god, what is this tiny thing trying to wrestle with me?" I may actually open the door up later. Give the cats a chance to come in. I do feel bad withholding this room because it's like, yeah, out for real. I've given up all hope of not having scratched up legs. It's just too funny. Like I have a reasonable, like not crazy, not super heroic, but I have like a reasonable pain threshold. And when someone does something funny and it hurts me, it's just like it's so worth it. I just sort of don't have associated bad feelings about it. And the kitten is absolutely doing that now too, except that thankfully it's been hot out, so I've mostly been wearing shorts. And the kitten is strangely smart enough, doesn't try to climb up my leg if I'm wearing shorts instead of pants, which I'm very thankful for. Exceedingly thankful for. All right, I don't think I have to do that part in metal. Yeah, I could do the middle of this, but then I gotta set this guy aside to dry again. We're just gonna marathon through different steps here. Just keep pushing. But yeah, this is very much a cat household. We're actually on the prowl for another kitten. Um, Not to toot my own horn, but this house is like a lot bigger than I needed it to be. I bought this house when I was a bachelor. Um, Bought this house when I turned 40. I've been saving up my whole life, paying obnoxious rent to other people, and I finally turned the corner and bought a house. So when I bought this house, I bought it very much as someone who's going to be a bachelor for the rest of their life. Of course, by buying this house, I moved to this town. By moving to this town, I moved within a few blocks of where my wife lived. Wasn't my wife yet. Now it's a family house, and it's still modestly sized, but it's not laid out in a way that makes any sense to like try to raise people in it. Everything's cordoned off. I was like, I'll have roommates. It's my original thought. I'll have roommates, and they'll help me pay my mortgage, and we'll just have fun and do bachelor type things. And now it's like no place we can put the children and keep an eye on them easily. If one of us is making dinner, someone's got to be off on the other side of the house watching kids. So I'm on the prowl for a new house. The 26 cents that I made from ad monetization my first day is going to buy me a new house. It's so funny. It's like such a small amount of money, but it makes me so happy. Oh my God, I got monetized for doing a pretty mediocre job painting models and posting video clips of Space Marines. What a world. 26 cents. I think these missiles are on here good. I can't tell. Oh yeah, that thing is not on there practically at all. All right, buddy. You're gonna need some re-gluing. Good to know. I was like, why does this feel like it's wiggling? It's like a loose tooth. It's still attached, but it's got a wobble. It's all right. I gotta put a new magnet on it anyway. We'll just keep powering through this painting. I'm going to have to set this guy down in a little bit because I'm running out of places I can hang on to. Underneath the edge. Just keep finding a corner to grab onto. Yeah, this model is coming right along. I can put him together now and he looks, I wouldn't say, I mean, he's not battle ready, but he doesn't look like he's just covered in primer all over the place anymore. Step at a time. Oh yeah, there you go. This color's so gross. Love it. All right, I will set this somewhere to dry a bit, knowing that I have to glue it a bit also. That way. Brush this guy off. It's really interesting because I got a really big lift off of the video game, the Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator stuff. It was a really solid lift from it. It was awesome. But funny enough, it did actually bring people to my other stuff. Like it was one of those like rising tide lifts all ships kind of things, which I was kind of surprised with. But as I started getting traffic for that other stuff, which I just find fun, like all that battle simulator stuff is quite often, because it takes a long time to prep one of those battles, even the ones that are totally one-sided. Like you got to run it more and more times. Yeah, exactly. You got to run it plenty of times to get an even mediocre battle going. Even the one-sided ones, like the one that I just did, even one-sided battles, they need some amount of like interesting stuff happening. So a lot of times what I'll do, I don't actually have one up there right now, but a lot of times while I'm sitting here painting, I would just get a battle going there because it was kind of neat and fun, and I'd been doing it for a bit because the game had been out for a while, and then finally I was like, I should just record and post one of these things. because I was just doing it for my own fun, trying to make neat wargaming battles. And so I would set one up, and then like when I would have to let on smaller models, you have to let things dry a lot more often because there's not these huge chunks of pieces you can just set aside. If I needed like a few minutes for something to dry, this is back when my setup was on the other side of the room, I'd just wheel my chair over and see how a battle was going. I'd be like, maybe I'll keep this one. But it's neat. Like it's all just me kind of digging on 40k, and then I've got I turned it into a podcast. I don't know what that actually does to it, but I've been riffing on lore stuff, doing a little bit of book analysis here and there. That got a pretty decent lift as well at the same time. So I don't know, pretty cool. Like has a neat reach to it, and it's all fun. It's all fun. Look, I found a spot that has no paint on it. I found 2 spots that have no paint on it. This is what I do all the time, basically this phase of painting. So you just find all these little spots that you managed to not paint in the first pass. All that little shape work there that separates both sides of this. I'm so glad that the sponge work on this thing worked out. Oh my god, that section that's off-white was looking like juvenile. But yeah, 40k, I think the thing is, like, with Warhammer stuff, like, if you're a fan, it's almost impossible to be, like, a light fan of it. And there's so much stuff going on with it that you're either, like, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. I know I use that phrase all the time, but it's so true. Like, once you crack the seal on it, it's got some piece of narrative that almost everyone will like somewhere in it. Oh my god, that's basically what I do. This is like my moment of zen. It's funny. Part of the reason I'm doing these live now is like it raises the stakes a bit in my head, and I pay closer attention. I spot more things. But yeah, I absolutely zone out, which I think is good. Sort of hit a flow. I get an amazing amount, as stressful as it is. I'm always freaking out while I'm doing this, but it is relaxing. Like, it's very fulfilling. It's very relaxing when you get in that zone. But yeah, whole sections of things. Like there are models that I've like posted the video on. I've like done all the editing, put background music in it. Back when I had a kind of garbage mic, so I had to spend like a long time cleaning up the audio when I didn't even know, like I still don't know what I'm doing, but I very much didn't know what I was doing. And I'd be like so proud of myself, post a video, and 2 days later, go back and watch it because there was something in there that I didn't remember exactly how I did it, and I was moving on to my next model. I'd be like, oh my god! Like I'd look at the final picture of the model, be like, I'd left a whole chunk of that thing out. Like whoops, okie dokie. Did that with like all my poxwalkers. It was like the next weekend I was just getting the tiny brush out. I'm like, yep, there's a whole belt there you didn't hit, or a belt buckle, or the backside of someone's arm. It's good. It takes you to a different place, for sure. All right, so this stuff needs to now dry. Got both of those pieces. Set this dude aside. I'm guessing I'll move these guns back out of the way. Just keep pressing forward. All right, I know I need some black wash on this, and I know I need some Agrax. Let's go to Agrax territory. Grab a slightly thicker brush so I can dab it in there. Agrax Earthshade to the rescue. Every Death Guard painter's best friend. I may actually use a bit of it on the metallics, but I'm going to absolutely pile some onto these feet. Move this phone out of my pocket. Second coats over varnish, then revarnish. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Phone saying stuff. I can respond to work things because I don't have to. Yeah. I haven't worked much with varnish. Just a bit. I think the only varnishing I did was on my typhus. And I was pretty scared about that. But I have this lacquer, which is horrifying to me. I've tested it. It does remove acrylic paint if you like F around too much with it. But if I dab it on there, yeah, Agrax Earthshade, my beloved. You go, hey, what's up, Blizzard? Welcome. Yeah, this stuff is just money. I feel like even though I thought I should probably do it until I get a sort of cease and desist, but I thought about designing a mug that looks like a Citadel color pot, a handle on the side, make one that says Agrax Earthshade, one that makes Null Oil. Army Painter spray can matte varnish works out beautifully. I don't think I use Army Painter, but I have I have spray varnish that I liked. Like this Typhus did good by it. It does darken things up in a way that I think is pretty neat. But this guy's matte, and it was good. And I had to because all the sparkly bits, because the glitter I put on Typhus, because I love that dude. And so I needed to varnish over it because, like, if I take this guy to a table and there's get glitter on like someone else's models, you're like a pariah. The worst thing you could do. I feel so bad if I did that. I feel like a piece of garbage. But like, look at this neat thing I did. Get someone else's models all glittered up. That stuff is such a mess. It was fun though. It's fun to do. Glad I did it. It was risky business. Oh yeah, Agrax. You get in all those tiny little seams and cracks. I'll let you get thick and sloppy on the feet too, because you're going to get all sorts of basing material on you. You're going to be jumping for joy. We're going to make big progress here. It's a night of big progress. So many little things. Yeah, actually, I won't be able to stop thinking about it if I don't check it. I'm going to grab my varnish just to see what it is. Oh, I don't even have to get up. That clean in here. Yeah, I used Winsor Newton matte varnish. It's pretty good. Served me well. Good stuff. Stuff stinks though. So I am going to try some of this acid rain stuff on the weapons. This lacquer. Lacquer? Lacquer. Probably do it right after this step. And that's going to be dangerous, but if I screw it up, I'll just go black over it again. But it's neat stuff. You're supposed to use an airbrush with it, but I'm not in airbrush territory yet. Though with my new setup being at this desk, there's a window right there. Scooch this thing out the way. So if I got a little hood, yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, then again, you're getting advice from someone who's like, this is the only varnish I've ever done. So I was like, yeah, it was pretty good. Take all my advice with a grain of salt. Who knows? But yes, give it a shot. Oh, Agrax, you savior. Get a little water in here. You trusty Agrax Earthshade. Make everything better. Turn me into an artist. I do have to thin some of this out on here though, like it's a little too gloppy sloppy. But it should look pretty gnarly on the feet, so I'm not that worried about it. If it pulls up, it pulls. This is, you think about where Knight Tyrant dedicated to Nurgle, you think about the kind of places that thing walks. These feet are not going to be pristine. Better not be. Abject failure. Every piece of book lore that I've read. Like in Plague War, there's a huge battle, all these mechs, but like Mortarion's army shows up with like weird weird catapults, like warp catapults. It's like so old school. I love that part. Just like wheels up with these wooden things that are like demons running them. Loyalist guys, the Imperials are like, they see these things coming through the fog. What the hell are these things? And they just start catapulting warp damage. Love it. Like medieval. Can't wait to set this guy up with my army. I have been branching out and trying different brands of stuff. The varnish was definitely just a case of like I knew I needed to do it because I bit the bullet and started putting glitter on my typhus. And I thought I had some lying around the garage. I didn't. I was just gonna use whatever I had. So I had to go to it's not Hobby Lobby, Michaels, and that's a dangerous store when you start getting into painting. Went in there and just like looked on my phone real quick. A couple people on a couple, I think it was mini painting subreddit, were like, yeah, this one's pretty good in terms of matte finish. And then I stood in that store and I was like, I could buy everything in here. Like just buckets of acrylic paint for laughs. I didn't though. I was a good person. Get in all those seams. Oh man, that place is so dangerous. It's got like several different paint aisles. It's like, hey, if you're painting on canvas with acrylic, like go over here. But it's such a crafty store that, like, at least the one that I went into, it was like, oh, by the way, entirely other different section has like all these other different paints for like painting cloth and all these other things. And then when you start thinking about basing, like they get a bunch of people in there that do diorama work, like all kind. It's basically just universal craft store. So you're like, wow, you know, I really could use like 20 dowels of totally different sizes or like faux wood blocks. Like, sure, I could make use plenty of that stuff. If only I had some new bins in my office to store things. Yeah, I'm going to start hoarding. It's so funny because my wife got into some pour painting stuff, POUR, right around the same time I got into this. So she's got her bins out on the porch. She paints out there. I paint in here. We each got our own sort of jammy jam going. We're both very dangerous people to have in Michael's. If we both went together, it'd be, I don't know, the apocalypse. It's, man, all the stuff. All right, well, Agrax, I don't think I'm done with you yet. I think some of you bit on some of the metallics in here. I do have to get these, yeah, all four of these corners on each one where the feet meet up. Oh my god, it's just so dangerous. And you get into the seasonal stuff, and it's like, if you have any sort of like kit bashing mindset, man, if I bought this like box of Halloween parts for dioramas, like I would have enough basing materials for my whole army till like the end of time. It's good like that. All right, let's hit some of these spots. Basically just going to hit the places that have pretty neat ribbing on the tubes and stuff like that. I'm not going to hit the very big panels, and I'll get a little bit of color difference in there because it is Agrax, not black. That'll help a little, get some variation going. Even in the shot. There we go, it is. guy's pose is going to be pretty wild. It's funny, I had a little heart attack moment earlier in the day. I was putting them together, faux putting them together, and his pose was all jacked up. It's still pretty silly. I like it because it's goofy, but I had the legs on backwards. I was like, why does he look like this? Raptors kill team want to make them removable. Oh, yeah, it's like as I started building up at all, and I still don't have that much. I was like, all right, so this is actually I didn't want to do a diorama yet. This is just a piece of junk. But I basically got a mat. It's one of the sizes that makes sense to play a Warhammer game on. So I got this mat just to have a background, especially to take pictures and whatnot. And apparently just pile up all my junk on this thing as if I don't care. Regardless. But I do want to make some diorama stuff. But right now I just got this background here. And then if I play, when I set up a table somewhere and have some friends over, when I make some friends locally to play the game, I'll take this thing down and I'll properly diorama this thing up. But I do want to build some dioramas because I think that stuff is just rad. Being able to put stuff in and take it out, that would be the ultimate. Become Trazyn the Necron. Have this whole menagerie set up, and then every once in a while when you need stuff, just pull them out. I am getting a lot more comfortable with magnets though. Like I can see some people literally put magnets in all their bases. I'm like, not the worst idea. I have to see if I can get a plate. It should just be a ferrous metal plate. But it would be great if, like, all my poxwalkers, if I was going to pack them up, I just had a tray. It was magnetic on the bottom. And I have more magnets than I have poxwalkers. Just spray. Glue a magnet to the bottom of each one so they just at least don't slide around. It'd be nice. Things to think about. All right, hit some more of these tubes. Tubes. Thought you were done, Agrax Earthshade, but you are here to pay dividends. Yeah, thin gauge steel should do it, right? Any ferrous metal should work. Magnets are not that complicated. You're getting dope. Looking dope. So I was looking to find like maybe what my next couple books would be. I think I'm probably just going to keep going through Horus Heresy stuff in order. I can't remember where it was, but maybe I was looking something up. I wanted to figure out what had happened to Garviel Loken. I was reading somewhere like I think his name's Cinderman, one of the not Remembrancer. He was an original iterator. He was like an Inquisitor in the 40k years. I was like, what? So I might check him out if I can find him in a book or two. That sounds like neat stuff. All right. You gonna stand up for me? Yeah, steel plate, no biggie. I probably have some lying around. I haven't done that much metal work, but I've done a little bit. Most of the metal work I've done has been specifically non-ferrous stuff, like silver and things like that. Eisenhorn Omnibus. I have it. I have it right here. It's massively thick, and I have it on paper, so it's really challenging for me to read late at night. I may just rebuy it, so I can read it on my iPad. But I do have it. I've got, and as a paperback, it's like I'm literally going like this at the chat window rather than this at the camera. It's thick. It is a doozy. But yeah, many people have recommended it as like must read stuff. But I want to make sure that I'm keeping a hefty amount of Horus Heresy at the front of my brain because I know I'm going to do at least a couple essays on it. Wait on that. So, kind of how this guy's looking. Watch me smash this thing right now as I try to hold it up. Get my thumb and all the stuff that I've done. All right. So there. New magnets. I mean, this guy is he's making his way right along. Making his way right along. Yeah, he was buried in the rubble. So I'm not at the. I know that he does get recovered later. Garrow actually gets sent by Malcador the Sigillite. I always want to call him Mephisto for some reason. The Sigillite. But yeah, Garrow gets sent. That's his mission, is to go recover Loken. And then apparently he goes nuts somewhere because like he's traumatized. Is what I've read, not in the books, but like as I was doing research. He gets traumatized by it because he's like, I think he's literally, it's like him and maybe Rylanor or whatever, that dreadnought. I think it might be the only things that survive the entire thing. He gets recovered later and it goes around a lot, but he is in the first of the three. He's a central character in the Siege of Terra final trilogy. So the first book of that trilogy is out. He's super important in that. Um, then when I went back and started reading, I read that first, and then I started getting into the Horus Heresy stuff. And yeah, interesting. I'm very convinced that what's his name? Witcher guy, Custodes man. How do I not remember his name? Henry Cavill. I'm pretty sure he's going to play Garvey Loken. I am writing an essay about that, making that call. Everyone's like, he's going to play the Emperor. It's like, he's not going to play the Emperor. All the postscripts in every single book where someone has had to write about the Emperor, they're like, the thing about the Emperor is we're never going to really let you know about the Emperor. Which makes sense for a character. Makes complete sense. He is supposed to be enigmatic and weird. But Loken is there from the very first Horus Heresy book. He's there for Horus and his turning, but he views it as a very human-like Astartes. He watches all that go down. He has the benefit of being present for one of the Istvan central moments, and then because he's in the end of the death, end the death. He's got that whole arc of like when the Horus Heresy started, and then Horus's end. So as a character, basically it makes sense for the camera to be on him because he sees all these other Primarchs doing this stuff. He interacts with all these people. So you want the camera to be on him. But like you can't have him play Horus. You can't have him play a Primarch because they're supposed to be so aloof and different, and like even Astartes look at them and they're like, oh my god, he's here. So you wouldn't be able to sympathize. Oh, what a gloppy mess. Oh, this stuff is so wild. Like I can watch it move in its own liquid. Oh my god, that smells. Alright. How are you gonna do this, buddy? Oof. Yummy. But yeah, I do have to read the Eisner. Big old honking book. Loken sees, even before Horus, ends up with some definite, like one of the guys in his company group, whatever, dies and comes back. It's like risen up as crazed undead warp thing. Oh yeah, I don't even think that's going to show with that as a background. We'll find out. Maybe it'll sparkle. This might actually need like a white background or a colored one for it to show up. But we're going to try. Dab this stuff on there. It looks super warpy in this little cup here. My old man eyes are, I can't tell if they're betraying me or not. I'm just going to dab it in like a wash. Pray to the old gods on the new. There's a lot more work that needs to happen on that one because that's, I don't even know what kind of gun that is. I don't remember. But here we go. Acid rain lacquer. It makes these cells look like they're getting powered up. And if I have to go over it a second time with like yellow underneath to start, I'll do it, but I'm hoping it'll just carry on its own. How did they do that on here? Oh yeah, that's all that blue stuff. Oh, I haven't actually finished building this gun, apparently. Got a whole bunch of malarkey on the bottom. Really? My version of this gun looks different than what's in the box. It's probably got more parts that I haven't put on it. That would make sense. I don't know, that's getting shiny. Maybe it just needs a few coats. Famous last words, right? Maybe it just needs more coats of stuff. I'll put some dabs on here. I mean, with metal as a background, almost nothing's going to show up great. But if it just played sort of tricks of the light, that would be kind of neat to me. All right, I'll set that one aside. This is where it's going to get spicy. Sit nice, gun. So I cannot waste a lot of time with this stuff brushing. I have to dab it. So I'm just going to try to fill in these gaps gently. Hope enough of this stuff sticks where it looks cool. But I cannot be sitting in here making a lot of contact because it will absolutely break the paint up. And I desperately don't want that to happen, so I'm just dabbing it in there. Stay cool. Be cool, man. Be cool. It's metallic enough. It probably needs a better background, but I don't care. I'm doing it. I don't think this is going to show up on camera all that easily, but it is starting to look kind of wild. Just gently. Especially with these rounded edges. All I gotta do is get decent seep in there, just dab it in. And absolutely let this thing dry like crazy. Spin it around. Just dab, dab, dab. Just get in those seams. Golden. It's not like I'm disarming a bomb. It's sort of like I'm disarming a bomb. I gotta get enough material in there. Because this is basically just lacquer and micro glitter stuff. I don't even know how they do this chemically. It does that color shift thing where, like, depending on the angle of the light, it's actually a different color. This one's pretty solid. There we go. Just getting enough in there. Come on, buddy. Don't want to touch you too many more times. All right, so it's not super bright, depending on how the light hits it, I gotta get a better camera. Definitely has a sheen to it. I'm gonna let that sit in there, but I'm gonna hit these vacuum tube things as best I can. Just get as much of this weird sediment out. Don't drip. Don't drip. Whatever you do, don't drip. Oh my god, it's so fuming in here. I might have to take an intermission in a couple minutes and just let this stuff steam up. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to end up happening, is that I will go back over this. I'll hit it with like strong white, like Corax white. I am going to see how it does do, though. In person, it is curiously bright. I wonder if I could get away with haloing it somehow. A little bit of dry brushing around it. I mean, once lacquer dries, you can, I'm guessing, put something over it. The whole problem it has with acrylic is that it breaks it down like chemically, but if you get it on, if I'm being super careful, I get some on there and then I decided that I say wanted to lightly dry brush it with Corax white and then put more of this on top. I'd be worried about something like that on a small model, but this thing's so honking huge that like I'm not going to lose any detail on it. So all the pieces are so big. I could give that a shot. Scientifically, I just want to see how this ends up looking just straight over metal. And frankly, I could probably get away with, I'm not trying to get away with anything, but I could. It's very weird looking. It's definitely not bright. I like it though. I think you're 100% right though. Base coat of white. Definitely do it. I'm going to let this guy dry out and let him have his piece, speak his piece. But that could look pretty crazy with a white base. Could look really good. Stuff is so strange. It looks like liquid magic in a jar. I don't know if this is the acid rain one. I think this might have been the olive one. This lighting's terrible. Is that even better? You can't tell. But it does shine at really odd angles. Could be neat. I do like how a lot of the really light colors end up looking, you know, like on plasma weapons and stuff. If I can find a way to make this, I think you're right, a white base coat. It stands to reason. Can't do that now, per se. Have a sip of tea. Alrighty, what is next as we keep powering through? Those barrels need something. I'm guessing it's metallic. Alright, let's ride. Keep on keeping on. My trusty brush still hasn't fallen apart yet. Thank you, trusty brush. Any other trusty brushes? How are you feeling? You feel pretty good. You're a happy brush. We are getting there, folks. All right, so I'm only gonna do to there, I think. Let's see how it looks. I'll metalize this whole, each whole barrel, then barrels will probably get Nuln Oil. They'll get a black wash, not actual Nuln Oil. They'll get the VAO stuff that isn't $68 an ounce. So close. Well, not really so close, but so much closer. I have to absolutely take advantage of my weekend time. That was pretty good. I think I actually streamed almost every night this week, at least for like an hour-ish. I didn't go back and check. I do want to go back and just edit this all into one scene length video, but coming online, very motivating. Those barrels. Yeah, so if that stays green, that's pretty consistent. Do this on both of these guys. Set you aside gently. Almost went back to the well. So psyched to have this in my army. Quarter my points down the toilet. Spoken for. I do have to get some Chaos Lords. I'm tempted to sort of try to kit bash a Vorks together. But I think he wore Terminator armor. Did he? I don't even remember. Hey! What's up, Pira? Sorry that you missed the last few streams. That's okay. I've been streaming like a madman. I missed you too, buddy. How's your night, Tyrant, coming along? I'm going to start showing off. It is coming along. I've streamed at some very weird hours. I actually was streaming at like 4 a.m. this morning because I was up. I took a weird nap. I figured with this Tyrant, I just want as much as possible to just be recorded, and it's so much easier for me to just hit the stream button and go for however long it is, whenever it is, even if it's an ungodly hour. But I got up super early because I tried to take a nap last night, and turned into one of those 7-hour naps. Was not so great, which is part of the reason I'm deadly tired. But since you're here right now, I'll show you how it's coming along. It's coming along swimmingly so far. I put him on straight and forwards, I think. Head's done. I did some sponge work on the legs and stuff. His weapons I can't pick up right now because they're drying. But he is all magnetized. Both of those fit. I got bigger magnets for the arms, bigger magnets. Better pizza underneath there. Oh, that's one thing I can do while stuff dries. These things properly stick on there, even better with bigger magnets. So they're swappable, which is great. So he is coming right along. A lot of what I'm doing right now is catch-up work on tiny bits. I don't know how to glue this on any better, so I'm just going to workshop through this thing gently. Don't knock anything over. I'm going to workshop through putting a new magnet on this, and if this missile comes off, that's fine, because I'm going to be doing glue work anyway. So I found out the hard way. That model glue that you use to put your whole resin model together is kind of irrelevant for putting a magnet on, which I should have known. Basically, that resin model glue melts the resin, and then as the glue dries and evaporates out, parts that are melted together are now stuck. Does not apply to magnets in any way, shape, or form, which I don't know why I thought to use that glue. Hey, thank you. But I did. What you want to use to glue magnets on, don't cut your fingers, buddy, is super glue. Funny lesson. So I'm just scoring this now, so there's a bunch of surface area. But yeah, all my, it was like 1 or 2 streams later, all my magnets popped off at the same time. It's like, why is that? Consulted the internet. Big dummy. Modeling glue is just for models. All right. So, get a magnet. Get the right sized magnet. These big ones? These are the bigger ones. All right. So, scraped all the old glue off. Scraped through some of the paint. Scored it with the X-Acto. And should do, if I use this, so if those stick together like that, then I want it to be that side down. So you got to think about the polarization of all those magnets. So dab some of this crazy glue on. Oh, this is like the fumiest stream. Floating. I do have good ventilation here. Don't worry, I'm not gonna die on tape. All right, so that's crazied up. If I'm right, this should stick this way on here. I am correct. Back around, and the main thing you got to do is just make sure it's very centered. If it's centered nicely, it'll rotate nicely. Because the magnets being round, this wouldn't matter if they were square. But with the magnets being round, put a round magnet on another round magnet, because it's trying to have the most amount of mass in there. They spin around, they rotate. I'll let that dry for a second. These guys rotate perfectly. They just spin right around. Straight on the axis, and all I gotta do is get it pretty close to center and you're good to go. Right, so press that, give it a little nudge. It's feeling pretty good. Hopefully I put enough glue on them. And this guy needs a little spritz of modeling glue. I should probably keep painting him. It's so weird that he's partially attached. Yep, okay, good. Got some glue coming out. I did that terribly. That's a gloppy job, but that's me in a nutshell. I'm gonna hold that tight this time for a minute, a full minute count. Doing repairs. But yeah, this model is coming right along. I used a little bit of green stuff. Still pretty bendy. I used green stuff inside these because they're hollow to not only hold the magnet in place, but so that the magnet wouldn't like slip through. Green stuff, not my forte. I'm gonna test if this is wet. You think that's dangerous? It's pretty dry. Wow, that's why it's so fumy. Because all that stuff's evaporating like crazy. I'll keep holding this. Yeah, this model's fun. I still have a lot of things to do on these guns. They look boring, all metal. And even on the picture, it's like a lot of this plate work really should be colored in. So I can probably consider that in a second. I think flip that guy over to dry, back this guy up, back this guy up. These guns are precariously close to being dry enough to at least handle somewhat. Turrets are looking good. I think I have to remagnetize one of them. I do. So I've got to leave that guy forward. Just getting organized here and thinking about steps. Scooch this. Oh my god, it sits in there perfectly. Everything's perfect. And I'll grab pad. take a 5-minute intermission. I'll be right back. And then what I think I'm going to do is work on these guns more. But first, we'll get that turret working. That is the cat. All right. Cat's in the room. I'll bring him back up here in a minute too. Alrighty. Back in safety exacto territory. Scrape this off. I'm gonna hold it this way and hold it away from myself. Get this whole nubbin thing off of here. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. He's awesome. My old guy. Black cat too. Hank, the now elder stateswoman, is gray, but this guy is great. Krobus. Stardew Valley fame. It's pretty awesome. My whole house is just like laden with gamers. My wife's probably playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. Son downstairs. Oops, scrape that a little bit. He's been into. He started playing No Man's Sky the first time. My 12-year-old is in a D&D group at the library. Plays a bunch of Roblox. Plays a bunch of Stardew Valley with us. Everybody's a nerd. Every last one of them. It's dope. Put the magnets back down here. I did. I have so many extra parts from these sprues, and there are parts I still have to consider attaching, but probably not gonna. I'm gonna do this guy pretty minimalist. There are a couple little bits that I may add on, but one of these sprues that you get, I still got to pull that weapon out. There's a couple little pieces in here that I can make use of, and several of these are for the harpoon, but basically all these other parts a lot of gun stuff, but a lot of body stuff. It's just extra. You basically get a whole sprue for each weapon configuration. Like, it essentially gives you the whole torso. It doesn't give you the pair of shoulders, which is really mean. Because this model could have swappable arms. These come off. You don't even have to glue them, so they can swivel, but if you turn them like a full 90, they come off. Games Workshop. Devious. This model would have swappable arms. You could probably even get away with top things because I have a peg in them. It'd be a little wobbly. Probably have to do some magic there with a magnet. But you could totally swap the arms off on these, no problem. If they just gave you 2 sets of these shoulders. There's an entire market on Etsy just selling those shoulders. And they're similar over different models, over different knights. I don't think the Armiger little guys, Warhounds, what are they? I don't think they have the same shoulder, but I ordered some. Which is why I haven't put the other guns together yet. But the rest of that sprue is all spare parts. Spare parts aplenty. So I may actually see, because this, you don't get 2 of those shoulders either, but this whole thing, a bunch of those, like I might make like a, I don't know, I might modify my next Playburst crawler to be more crab shaped. Alrighty, let's get some of this gloppy glue on. Crazy glue. Decent amount. Check my polarization on these magnets. Side down. Make sure he's nice and centered. Make sure I don't stick my thumb to the cannon. And I'm going to just hold them. He's not sliding around too much. There we go. Crazy glue is awesome. I'll leave that guy upside down. So he's good. My next step, the thing I have to do when this cat is in here is like every single time I move this chair, I gotta turn around. His tail's actually got a crook in it in the end. Not from us. It was like that when we got him. He's already got a broken tail. I don't want him to have it broken twice. Ultimate bad parenting. Okay, he's found plastic. That's cool. All right. So this needs some amount of color. Question is, I think the space is too small for me to. I would have liked to have done this on there, but I think the space is too small for me to sponge that extra pattern in. Basically went over with lead belcher. So now it looks like basically the paint has come off, but it's sort of like camo-like. Definitely no longer looks like 12-year-old painted it. It now looks weathered rather than just poorly done. And I would have liked to have done that here, but I don't think I can get in there with the sponge. So I think we're just going to end up going green. What are you mewing about? Are you squeaking? What's up, buddy? Howdy. All right, gotta say hi to the cat. That is a requirement. So I think we're gonna go with this Death Forest green on there. And it'll be a little lighter than the rest of the green on there. It'll be that lighter color that's on the helmet. So it won't be too repetitive. And I can get it in there. No problem. Just pressing on here. Some water on a wet palette. Yeah, I think I am going to have to hit those little nodule things with some white. All right, buddy, playing with cables. Yep. Attack of the cat. Oh well, he's having fun. And I am push over. Hey, hey! Not my headphones. There's a million other things to destroy in this room, kitty. A million other things. Yeah, that color will look good on there. It'll need some amount of weathering to it. But it is a good Death Guardy color. It's nice and lighter. So it'll stand out a bit from the armor, which I think is also good. It is interesting working with such a tight color range on Death Guard stuff. You have to get pretty creative. Color theory is really interesting. Even when you use a very tight band of colors, your eye naturally starts picking up the difference. My first mentor in game design was actually an art director and a game design director. And he ran the whole company. He's one of those people who's like so talented, it's disgusting. I can't remember the website he showed me, but I had a picture of this like nightly tournament. So all these knights, tents in the background. He was like, "What colors do you see?" I started describing all these colors, and then he broke it down. He had the thing in Photoshop. He broke it down to its actual component colors in the palette of the whole thing. Because in Photoshop, you could take like any image and be like, "All right, give me the actual palette of this," so you can like reduce down the file size if you felt like it. Go down further bits, and there was almost no different colors in it. Like it was very tight, but just the subtlest amount of blue added to something that was gray, and the most subtle amount of red added to it. Your eyes and your brain fill in the rest. They make it seem more different. So I'm finding that like a lot of times, just having a slightly different green. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It looks a lot more different in a tight palette. Alright, moving right along. Do I want that panel? I don't want that panel. I want everything but that panel. And these recessed tubes and bits. There we go. Nice clean brush strokes. A little bit more. More. Get the edges of these guys. Yeah, this will be good. Let me get a wash on here. Be in pretty good shape. I do have a different lacquer that is like a charcoal silver. I may use some of that because I managed to not strip the paint off once. I might as well roll the dice again. Let's see if I get lucky. It's also like a luminescent charcoal. And that might make laser guns seem laserier. Pretty sure I read somewhere that like a volcano lance is just a las gun. Just big. But just like mega big. It's pretty funny to think about how much people make fun of las guns. It's like, yeah, but if you make it big enough, you get a lot done with it. Thread the needle there. Nice and gentle. My way around stuff. Taking my time. Right up to the edge. Oi. There we go. Can you sit? I don't think you can. That's not going to work. You gonna jump? Sit back there, you can stay. Alright, now this is going to get precarious with the cat on my back. What do you think about going, buddy? Alright, on the ground it is. Good job. I'm pushing my luck with this cat. I'm going to probably have to scooch him out of the room soon. He's such a ham. All he does is play. Love it. Love it. Good little man. All right, you want out, buddy? Let you out. Then I can't let you back in. I have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah, he's starting to whine. I feel bad for him. I'll let him out. Be right back. Make sure I don't roll over him. So funny, the door to this office, glass, and he doesn't get that yet. So I go to open the door for him. He runs right up to it, puts his paws on it, and is confused. So much to learn. He's a good little man. That tube's going to be exciting. Switch this chair a little closer here. Get my gangster lean on. I kind of overdid it, but it is well hidden. I need to do the same under this other part of the hoop. Gently. Another stroke. Gently. Make it all the way across. I didn't. There we go. It is a roller coaster ride. Can't believe I just described this like that. It is in my head. It is still Old Man Paint's model, but some of the moments in my head are pretty dramatic. I think that's the place that I've made a little bit more progress over these first few months. It's just confidence, getting the brush between two spots without hitting everything else. I still have to make mad amount of repairs after I paint things, but not as much as I used to. I have edited out so much footage. Obviously on stream it's not the case. I think that's why I'm comfortable doing streaming now, is I don't have to redo so much stuff, and I don't feel bad about it, but it seems like backpedaling. Just go over that thing. All of those produced videos that I've done, every last one of them, it's just been like moments where I'm like, I did something cool, and then I painted over it, painted over it, and painted over it. I'd go back and forth between edging and the actual color work multiple times. Multiple times. What do you guys do on that box? That looks pretty close. It looks alright. They actually end up doing this whole box up here. I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm not sure that I don't. I'm not sure that I do. I don't know how much color I actually want on this. I like the fact that it's all metally. Maybe that's because the first time I dry brushed all this metal, I don't want to cover any of it up. Oh, that box looks good as is. You know what? I'll leave you. If I think I want to do more, I'll come back to it. Let that guy sit. Yeah, he can sit like that. All right, this guy, different story. Not too much, pretty much the same story. I'm going to hit this box. I don't care too much about what they did on theirs, but they kept it tasteful. I don't try to do the box art really, but it does have some good indicators of places that the manufacturer thinks you might find wise to paint. So I do look at them. Let's see here. In you go. Now I gotta get between these guys without hitting them. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's not real work. There we go. Struggling to find a place for a miasmic malignifier in my 2,000 point army list. I think I'm going to sacrifice a plague burst crawler for it. I want to put a piece of pottery out there. 135 points? I don't remember how much it is, but it's honestly going to be mostly a distraction. It's a terrible idea, but as a teaching army, it'll be good because I'll learn a lot about terrain because I won't be able to just ignore it myself. I'm going to want to use it in so many different ways that as I play, I will learn more and more about cover and visibility because my precious piece of pottery I'm going to want to utilize 8 ways to Sunday. So it's going in there. I'll find a way. I could start another army. What would it be? Well, I put a poll out saying for when this model first came up that like one of the options, all the options were yes, I should get a Knight Tyrant. The last one was like yes, and you should do a whole Chaos Knights army. I like these guys a lot. So this is potentially a strong second. I have an unhealthy fascination with all things orky, and I would like to try a shooty faction, but I think what I'll probably do is buy either like one, maybe like a combat patrol of orcs, because I'm not sure I want to go ham on it. I think I would probably go Necron for a shooty army. At least that's where I stand right now. Like I'm still Death Guard to the core, but Necrons are just awesome looking. I think I would enjoy painting them. I like their lore a lot, and they have some guns. So I'd like to play an army that has like firing lines. So I think out of playing a Chaos Knights army, it's like you're using very few pieces on the board, but like maximizing for that. And it feels like you're being a villain to the other player, especially when you're on the Chaos side. All these Space Marines scrambling underfoot sounds like fun. But the Necrons have like just really interesting stuff going on visually, interesting stuff going on with their units. Some really screwed up rules in 10th. But I would like to get like a firing line army where I really am thinking about spacing and skirmishing and like falling back and stuff like that. And with like Death Guard, it's like I ain't falling back for nothing, man. I got like 4 or 5 points of movement. I'm not giving any of that back. You know, I basically am going to want to get to the middle of the board, middle and edges. Just trying not to lose my army in the process. I would like to play a good gunning army. Some sniping ability in it. Eric, I'll have to look that up. I've seen some battle reports that were really cool There's a guy on Play on Tabletop. I think he used to just be a guest guy, but I think he's kind of part of the crew now, and he does really interesting Necron armies. Um, I love how those models look. I could join the greater good. I could, and that is somewhat tempting. My main issue is that I'm not a very good playing. I don't mean skill wise. I just tend towards villainy, and that would be the only challenge there. But I have thought about it because they're like super shooty. They have really cool vehicles, and I love their aesthetic. And like, yeah, I understand that it's basically just riffing off of Gundam, but I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I could. I could. But I am a bit of an RPG villain, and that would be the only challenge there. If they had a Dark Tau, if they had the Greater Bad, be sold. That's what they need. They need a Chaos version of Tau. Then I'd be all for it. But yeah, as far as learning goes, like those models would be like such a departure from what I'm used to. It'd be amazing. I'm gonna end up getting some of the models no matter what. Just like crazy good line work and color work. That's what I need, the greater bad. That'd be a good twist too. That'd be really interesting. Yeah, I know that they're like, I don't know a ton about them, but I know that like the greater good is sort of like, in quotes, propagandist a little bit. Yeah, it's one of the things that I do like about them. Um, when I say like I generally play like bad or evil, is like nobody's legit good. Like the Empire is like this despotic. I mean, essentially operates a slavery regime when you think about people getting just yoinked by black ships against their will. And it's like this hegemonic, just like autocratic, xenophobic, like the quotes about just aliens in general and how much it comes up in the early Horus Heresy books where it like just patently like one of these fleets that's supposed to be going around. Actually, in the book I'm reading right now, Ferris runs into this fleet, the Diasporax. And it's like, oh, we thought they'd be pretty cool, but they kind of hang out with aliens, so we got to kill all of them. It's like, whoa. Commander Farsight is like the only properly good guy. Yeah, it's interesting. Like everybody's, it's not a happy place. Grim Dark Future. Did I even want to hit that piece? Well, I already hit it on the outside, so we're going for it. This whole thing's getting colored. Like, it's not that every character is terrible. It's just that, like, faction wise, you can't be like, these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. I know a lot of people do feel that way about their faction, but it's generally speaking not all that true. Like, there's ethical complications. It's worth a shot. And the thing is, like, there's a difference between like ethical good and being of noble character, and I think that's the thing that some people kind of lose sight of sometimes. It's like it's interesting, but the tower, like, relatively speaking, like, how do you fault the orcs? They just like to fight. Fine. You know how much Space Marines like to fight? Every single book, they're like they get antsy when they aren't like out there waging complete total war. They just like to fight. They're very similar. I think probably what I'll do is I'll gateway drug um, a few different factions. I think the combat patrol is like kind of the perfect size. Because I plan on building like some full armies. But as you're getting used to, if you want to get used to something new, it's a good starting point, and I don't have a problem. I'm never going to be so competitive that I'm going to be hurt by starting with the combat patrol, and then if I decide to build an army with what's in there, like I'll be fine. I'll just replace stuff as I go. It's no biggie. I'm not a min-max person, like at all. But it's also the right amount of points and the right amount of models to work with that I think you get a good enough taste of what like the painting is like. Yeah, you know what? I don't know why I've never looked into Kill Team. I should do that. They're great boxes. They're all tiny models though, aren't they? I think I remember like they're mostly really small stuff, and obviously I have the Death Guard one. There are 8 grillion tiny ones, but like a lot of the combat patrols at least have like a dreadnought in them or something. I routinely destroy my own arguments while I'm making them, just in case that wasn't obvious one I just made. But at the very least, like you get a good variance of characters, and I should look into Kill Team. I really should. It is a good way to start, though. But I like a lot of the combat patrols. I also feel like the combat patrols, at the very least, give you like a good aesthetic, even from like a diorama perspective. Like if I put my ultramarine there and pull these 2 spear guys out. I don't know if someone's knocking at my door. Could be possible. Could be under siege. But like this pile is like what Death Guard is. Put my Tally Man out of there too. It's like 7 Marines, Typhus. There should be a Biologist Putrefier in there, and then like 30 Poxwalkers. That feels like the personality of the faction. Not everything in it, but it feels right. Is that enough green? It's not easy being green. I don't want to hit the nubs of these. I like them as they are. I could. Don't cheat. Yeah, they don't do it either. It doesn't need that much color. I could warp lock bronze the backs of these, though. That would be kind of neat. That's what I'll do. I'll add a little bit of bronze to these guys after I find the places that I forgot to paint. That's good. No, these guys can use some bronze. The nice thing is I have no reservations whatsoever about just continuing. Like, I am so sold on this. This is so weird for a hobby I picked up just a few months ago. I am so sold on this that I literally think in terms of like, hey, maybe I'll pick that faction up when I'm like 52 years old. So why not? Like, I'm 46 right now. It does take a while. That said, like, I'm pretty sure I can crank out I think my tempo will probably be a 2,000 point army per year. But frankly, at this point, with the guy I'm building now and leaving my tally man aside, I think the combat patrol's basically what, 500 points ish, give or take, and obviously they just rebalance stuff. Halfway there, like I'm probably a lot closer to, if I keep a strong pace, it's probably a 2,000 point army every like 8 to 10 months. I get a lot done. I can have a lot of fun that way. Gonna need more space. Gonna need a bigger boat. I'm gonna dab this with a little bit of water. You sit nicely on your side like that. There we go. One big drop of water. How long have I been going? Well, it's been like a couple hours. That's good. Still kicking it. Oh yeah, that is not happening. I need a new splotch of that. That paint dried up. It is, especially with metallics. Don't stay alive on the palette forever. Got a new scoop. And Mortaine's like 450. Tyrant, which is also nice, convenient. I wasn't min-maxing it, I swear. But like this Tyrant in my army instead of Mortarion gets me whatever it is, 500-ish points. Yeah, exactly. Just two big guys. They're not the worst two big guys to pair up. They're really not. You get a lot done with those two dudes. But interestingly, this model is going to be part of my Death Guard army. My second army is Chaos Knights. It's 500 points in there. I'm already off to the races. A little more water. Thin this guy up a little bit. All right, I will hit this ring around here, maybe the skulls on the inside of those, and then so neat. Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. I missed you. It's been like 30 minutes since I used Warplock Bronze. I so missed you, buddy. Strangely enough, while I like a lot of the models, like Chaos Space Marines, don't really get me jazzed. They're neat. I might get into them a little bit more over time. But I could see myself like doing some demon models, potentials to pull in. I am going to throw just some straight up Nurglings. Right now, my list in my head, or actually just on the app, does have like 3 of those Nurgling piles in it. Comes out to exactly 2,000 points. It was like meant to be. With the current points right now, which will probably change by the time I even play. But it was very fortuitous. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to want to do a Space Marine faction from the Loyalist side at some point. Don't know if it could be Ultras. I had a really good time painting that Ultramarine. Genuine good time for how different it was. It's just something about how crisp they are, or at least can be. Turning. I need to get this edge a little better. Dab a little water. All right, let's get these skulls. Super gentle little skull. Just dab you in there. Got the ones on the sides. That's pretty cool. If I'm careful, I get the one on this side, and then I should be able to set this guy down on that post. Oh yeah, I screwed that up a little bit. That's not a big problem. Nothing ever is. The only time I get scared is the only paint that scares me right now. Mephiston red. That stuff. Hard to erase a screw up with that. Exceedingly hard. It's like I get the shakes. Absolute shakes. Like that. Where's the camera? That little bit of cloak. Oh my god, terrifying. Next to that light sepia stuff. I'm like shaking with the Ronald McDonald red. Alright, that's in pretty good shape. I may, after this whole thing comes together, may take some of this front and do it in war block. You know what, I'll do it now. I think the actual front paneling here will look good with it. A time like the present. And it has enough good contrast on it across the whole thing. Keeps the mind and the eye busy. Do I want a smaller brush? Don't paint the Cintiq like you did the other night. This brush is fine. I can handle it. There we go. I do like how that looks. I am glad I decided to do this front piece with it as well. It does break things up very nicely. I am going to try, not on this model, but I am going to, because I dry brushed. Thank you for the advice. Dry brushed with lead belcher the other night to great effect, basically allowing me to finish this model before I turn 80. I'd never actually done dry brushing like that. I've done dry brushing, but not the metallics on just the black base. I'm going to try that method with Warplock Bronze because I like it so much. I want to see how that'll look. Could be very interesting. I've also dabbled a little bit in mixing metallics and even mixing colors with lead belcher and whatever that super silver looking stuff is. And it comes out pretty good. You can get like a yellow metallic out of it. In fact, like I know for a fact I can't use that color shift lacquer stuff with a dry brush because I'll literally just turn the brush into an eraser. But there is the possibility. This might only need like a light dusting of a yellow on it to get a glow. And I do realize I didn't get the entirety of those tubes. I'll do that another time. This might only just need a little bit of yellow glow in there to be pretty solid. Put the brush down every once in a while. Sip of tea. I also played a decent amount of Starfield this weekend. I'm trying to, my character's just totally social. There's like no combat skill whatsoever. But I have a huge crew on my ship, and I'm trying to figure out how to build a network of outposts on planets so I can actually build stuff up, and it's so hard because I don't want to sit there and just mine stuff all day. Good puff. maybe a sip of water. All right, on this one, these skulls definitely are going to get it. This back here will get it. Go get it. Keep my painting stamina up. But I'm psyched. This sort of step, being a lot of nondescript, just helpful things, really where a lot of times the model comes together. I do like the big steps of just like taking a huge chunk of geography on the model and getting it moving. I also feel good just putting spray primer on. It's just like it's ceremonial in terms of getting started. But then these steps are where like really start giving the thing character, start giving it some aesthetic. Still playing Skyrim on the Switch. Yeah. I love Skyrim. I love it. Such a good game. It's funny because like I'm very much playing Starfield in principle, and I've run into like absolute moments of genius in it, but they are spread out in a way that like it's a little odd. I did like an absolutely great quest line in this one scientific base, and I went to a bunch of spoilers, but there's sort of like it's not multiple timelines, it's like two realities going on. The quest was really good, but it just kind of went on a lot longer than it had to, and I was kind of shocked how far along in the game I had to be to even run into it. Like I was way deep in difficulty level territory. It's like, I don't know why you hid that from me. Would have been fine to have this quest a lot earlier. It wasn't related to any factional central quest kind of thing. It was just that I'd finally gotten into some pretty deep territory. It's pretty weird. Fun quest though. Amazing shotgun came out of it. Amazing. Which is good because my character has no weapon skills. So like something that is a total spray and pray gun is exactly what the doctor ordered. It's funny because like my hench people are all statted up because I'm deep into social. So like I get bonuses to my how my hench people perform. They just wreck stuff for me. It's funny. I go in, I say a bunch of terrible things to people, and then I'm like that drunk friend everyone has. Or like when you go out and this person's in your crew and they just like start fights at the bar and you're like, come on, buddies, you gotta not do that. That's me. That's my character. All my crew is just like, all right, I get them into gunfights all the time and they take care of it. I'm a skilled negotiator and I make a lot of money. Is and I can have a very large crew on my ship. So if you haven't played the game, you basically like your ship and your outposts, any NPCs that you pick up as part of your crew, um, you pick. You can just send them to one or the other and they'll work on it. And your ship, depending on how many crew slots it has in it, based on how you build through the modular system of it, uh, your hench people have piloting and laser guns and ballistic guns and shields and all kind of like engine repair and stuff like that skills. So I just got like I'm still filling the thing up, but I just pick up dregs. Like you can go into a bar and find people that are like not even like big name people and just hire them on. So my ship is just full of people. So as much as I'm not a good pilot, my crew is just like Star Trek bridge. I get myself into trouble and then they all get me out of it. It's a fine relationship. You know what? They don't do it, but I'm gonna get some bronze on the front of this bad boy. I think it will be cool. Yeah, it is kind of cool. So strangely, all the like well-named NPCs that I've picked up, They are not fond of me being a bad guy. I gotta kind of, I think little by little, I'm going through a bunch of their plot stuff because I enjoy them, but I'm gonna have to replace them with like no-name hench people over time for me to complete my purely dark and sinister piracy end game. They get mad at me too much. Like, yo, I'm paying you. Cool. It's a good gig. Think about your career. Or I just haven't found the right people to work with. That could definitely be the case. There we go. Little by little. Starting to get tempted to glue this guy together. Don't think I want to do it just yet, but stuff I'm doing right now, well, obviously I'm playing with the gun, so I could do these separate all day. But I feel like I'm getting closer. The main chassis, just putting them together. I do have to start thinking base, because there's going to be a little bit of shenanigans with him based on how I set his legs up. One foot's going to be up, one foot's going to be flat. So I am going to have to build something up underneath this so that the model's at least super sturdy, and then put a bunch of treatment around it. Probably going to be a lot of skulls because that's pretty metal. I'm tempted to get some maybe Tyranids, or at least allude to it. I think my big sheet of skulls has a lot of alien looking skulls on it too, I think. That is very wet. You need to wipe that guy off. But at the very least, we'll have a bunch of skulls underneath it. Probably some amount of rocks. I gotta build that out in a way that's sensible, measure it. The model's big enough you can't really screw around. Alright, I did not do the best job on that one, but that's okay. That's okay. Check all my edges. Alright, that's enough of that gun for now. Sit him down so there's no trouble. Wash this brush down a bit. Alright, so what would dramatically change if I were to actually glue you on right now? What would change? Places I wouldn't be able to get into are those little bits in there. So I will very quickly hit those with some wash because I can. That's right, I'm basically hitting the point at which I'm checking the last few things I want to do before I glue this guy together. Yeehaw. It's commitment. That's good. Yeah, I will use that one. Sure, we're in our final approach, but I would like to glue this guy together tonight. It's such a big commitment to that pose, though. Move your head out of the shot, buddy. I'm doing this guy very minimalist. There are a decent number of pieces that I've just been like, you know what, that's a little too much adornment for this dude. We're leaving him off. It's funny because they allude to that, like all the pictures of him from Games Workshop. He's very intentionally made with, like, you know, having the face showing is kind of the chaos way to go. It's got two faceplates. Oh, you know what? I could use a faceplate on the base. That could be interesting. My point is, though, like, actually choosing to not put a lot of the adornments on him is pretty rad. I was actually tempted to leave the shins and stuff off of one leg, just have them be totally stripped down on one side, but I decided against that. It didn't look cool enough. The other problem is that underneath the shin, there's a bunch of blocky stuff that I would have had. I would have spent like a day and a half sanding down. It's believed to be. It's not meant to be naked. I think it could look good that way, but I'd probably have to get in there with some green stuff. I'm not all that good at using yet. I will just get some more of this black wash on the keister there between all those buttons and whistles. Yeah. All around that fan, because you know what kind of grimy exhaust is coming out of that thing. Grossness. All right. At that point, hit that little pistony looking thing. Moment of truth. A little wash. All I gotta do is slap a pile of glue on. Commit to a pose. So I could have him. No, he looks absolutely jacked up if he's turned that much. I could have him straight to center. Yeah, it looks like he's marching at you. I could have him tilted a bit. I think I'm just going to do him straight. Let's just do this. No time like the present. Some people talk about putting a magnet in the middle of them. I have no interest in doing that whatsoever. I think that's dangerous. I imagine you pick this guy from the top, the bottom falls out with the base and the 38 pounds of basing materials that I'm going to use on it. That just sounds terrible. But this guy is going to need quite a bit of glue. It's a ball joint. All right. Here's for permanent decisions. Hopefully that's not too much glue. Yoink. I do need him leaned back. Oh yeah, I'm going to be holding this for a while. Oh, maybe not. It is getting a little tacky. I can feel it already. It's working. It's melting. That is such a lot of surface area. It's all rounded. Yep, and I got it through. That's good. Just secure it like that. Wow, that's working fast. It's melting right through. A little wash there. Just make sure he stays tight. I'm pretty confident that if I do spin this around 10 times and there's spots that underneath there that I still want to get, be fine. There's so much space in here relative to what I'm used to. I have threaded the needle on some of these models, especially like when you're basing them and they, oh my God, you've got the thing glued to the base already. You're putting basing material down and then you see like a part of the sneaker, the boot, that like you didn't paint, like poking away at it. Okay. Just testing it a little bit. Feels pretty strong. The shin guard does not feel strong. I think this shin guard is going to come off at some point. I'm not going to make it come off, but I think it's going to have to on its own. I'm not sure if I even got it straight. This guy's legs are both straight. It's like some juvenile guy. It's like Forrest Gump when he's got the strapped on things. Weird guy. But yeah, he'll stand up like this. There we go. Or I could have him Naruto run. Put him like that, put the guns backwards. You don't think that would look cool? I think it would look terrible. I'd be shocked and appalled. But they're on magnets, so I can do whatever I want. I play with my toys how I like. So yeah, if he's not on his back leg, I'll be on his front leg. Running forward like that. Weirdo. Alright, take those off. Those magnets are good. Oh, he really does. Now with the top on there, he does not want to stand up on his own. I don't want to glue him to the base yet, though. Should I care? Is it that bad? I don't have to worry about that, do I? I could glue him to the base. Done all that painting. He's gonna be safer that way. I'm gonna look at him on the base. So this is gonna take some prep work. I have to wedge something. Has to go underneath. So I gently hold him. His head's probably gonna fall off. Something's got to go underneath there. There's at least, oh my god, yeah, that's a bigger gap than I thought it was. It's probably a centimeter and a half underneath this boot. So he's going to need to be stepping on something. Like not just kinda. In fact, I'm going to need to set this base up for that. Because it's going to be extremely challenging for me to glue him down. His back quad here. Power pose, yeah, no doubt. Big flex. I think we're looking tactical rock with a bunch of skulls around it. I might paint up one of the face masks from not a Tyrant, it's a Dominus. I might paint that mask up. Have him crushing the head. But yeah, I have to do prep on this base before I do it. It's going to be definitely tactical rock. Gravel from the backyard. I have actually used sand from my backyard on some of my bases too. Alright, well, body feels solid on there. Next step. This part I'm scared about. Tactical rock, but I don't even know where it sticks. Ah, okay, so these two squares go into those two squares. And then this must sit back there. Does it actually sit in there? If you do it right, it does. Okay. That's not that complicated. That's not that complicated at all. And then these line up. So, as much as this guy's going to have to basically stay lying down for a while, pretty pathetic, I am going to glue the top on. I've run out of patience. My inner 12-year-old will not be stopped. It's time. I've waited long enough for this model to be a model. Not just disparate parts. I showed amazing restraint in keeping the parts as parts for as long as I did. 12-year-old me wants toy robot together, and 12-year-old me is not going to be flipping stopped. 12-year-old me runs this entire operation. He's pretty psyched right now. Oh, you're off center. 12-year-old me better learn how to glue. There we go. Now you're properly centered. That shouldn't be hard to find. Tactical rock is good. I could. So the other thing I could do is I could essentially build a small, I'd say shim, but really a wedge. When I say build, I mean take a piece of wood and cut it at the right angle. Score it up a bunch so I can attach a bunch of like smaller rocks to it, so it looks like he's going over something big. But I think tactical rock is probably going to be what I do. I got plenty of many sized rocks. Could be a piece of wood. Crushing through a log. That seems like a lot of work. I mean, honestly, if I grab like a tree branch, put it, no, it's going to be a lot. That's like an overcommit. Tactical rock is the smart way to go. So the biggest concern that I have to figure out is that his back leg is not all four. The quad is not all down at all. He's like a tilty table. That may need some shimming. Basically, his, I keep on calling it a foot. I guess it is his foot, but it's got these four pieces that come out. Two of them sit flat, which is like kind of enough, but a little bit scary. I need to get better at basing in general. This is like a good lesson, so I may need to take like a little bit of a shim in there. I could take a piece of a sprue. That would work. Clip some sprue pieces because those will actually melt. Then get a wedge under this back toe. That's what we're calling it. That could work. You attached? Kind of attached? You're not really attached. You don't seem attached. You need. I don't want to pull that thing out though. This is awkward. Those pieces not make it all the way up to the top? Or are they not straight? They don't. There we go. Oh, it wasn't all the way down. I was being a coward. I didn't want to push down on it hard. That's why it was coming up. Eons of battle. That's why I come to this place. That's why I come to my own stream. There's more to learn than anything else. Eons of battle. Thank you very much. So funny. I was like, oh my god, I made $3.76 the other day. $3.50 it was. It was me tipping myself to see how it worked and make a funny joke. But I'm all hooked up. I'm monetized. Gonna be rich. So yeah, essentially 26 cents. Like Thursday night. It's pretty rad. I love it. It's so funny. Okay, this is holding. This is definitely holding a lot better. Okay, so I didn't have this thing set down all the way. Oh, you're still a pretty juvenile looking robot, but I do love you. Set you up with your guns. So I am. I don't know if I want to have faith in this widget, but I could use this thing to just hold him up. Seems like a scary proposition. I probably just want him to lie down. Yeah, so he can lie down on his back. Just lie him down like that, gently. And he is not on the carapace, and that center thing has already got plenty of glue on it. Got his guns. Sons up, guns up. And he's at least together. There's obviously more stuff I'm gonna do over time, but I think next time it's gonna be attaching this guy to the base. I've got a little bit of raw materials to get out in the yard. I'm not going to go out right now with a flashlight and find a rock. Actually, how late is it? It's only 10:44. I want to base him with a clear mind. Guns are out like that. such an American. Say that, loving my fellow Americans. Looked a little goony there for a second. A little out of control. But yeah, this gotta be cool. Oh my god, that's gonna be perfect. Alright, I'm gonna let this guy sit down. I think that covers, let's see, 2 hours and 40 minutes feels like a decent chunk of time. I am going to collect basing materials and maybe be back tomorrow night to base him. I think at that point, all I'll be doing is just pecking out little places to add color and stuff. Obviously, like the guns underneath here just need a ton of work. Only got one set of rockets half painted, 2 guns, so I gotta put other rockets together. Oh my god, I'm so glad I did this with magnets. Everybody spins around nicely. Everyone hangs on snug. These shoulders turn and pivot. Not too shabby. Glad. So yeah, I'll have some more stuff to do, but I think basing will be... Hopefully I can do this tomorrow. Hopefully I have time. And then after that, I'll just hunt and peck little details to add now that it's together. But I'm psyched. It's been a good run. I figure maybe I don't want to even try to calculate how many more hours of work I got to do. I am going to hit all of that sort of plasma gun stuff with a little bit of white, and then retry that lacquer over them. I think should make them pop out good enough for rock and roll. Maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow night, is redo those sections of guns. Do that whole spot there that's got a total gap in it. Now I can't. I have to stop staring at it because I'll just see things where I screwed it up, or just haven't finished. But that can go on for eons. I'm gonna close up my wet palette. I'm gonna go wash my brushes. I want to thank the folks for hanging out tonight. It was a pleasure. Lots of good chit chat. Lots of good work done. I mean, it is a big dangerous robot. It's pretty close. So I'm going to sign off. I hope you folks have a great night, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Lizard. Oh, I have a sip of tea. Good times. That's right. Started my day at 3:30 or 4 this morning with a stream, ending it at 10:47 with another one. Gotta find time to make it work. Thanks a bunch, folks. Goodbye.